Okay, folks, can we get everybody back to their tables?
I think this one's yours.
What's that?
I think this one's yours.
Too
Does
much
that
bread.
have coffee or cream in it? This tastes like it is cream. Oh, no, that's definitely yours. Oh. Now that I drank from everybody's.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. We're all on the same team, right?
No, he's running the resolution discussion. So I think he's we're going to go. Brian, I planted some heavy questions for you.
Sure you did.
I don't want your time in there too easy. You gotta earn your keep.
Okay, let's go. They're starting to move now. Hey! You can't hear that back there? How's that? Let's get started.
Market share and stuff like
Oh, okay, yeah. We'll do that after, because we're almost done, right? So. Hey, Ryan, does it bother you if I leave my binder here? What's that? If I leave my binder here, does that bother you? Okay, welcome back, everybody. We do have a few more items, obviously, on the agenda to cover. So if we all get ourselves situated, we can move on, and we get to do a few more motions and things like that. You know, all the fun stuff. Okay, welcome back, everybody, and I'm going to now call on our Finance Committee Chair, Ryan Schill, to come forward and present the Ontario Sheep Farmers 25-26 budget.
So the 25-26 budget is in your package, that green sheet if you want to dig it out there. So just on some notes for the 25-26 budget, the license fee projected revenue of 893. So revenue projections are calculated using a 5-year rolling average. Last year, this meant we came under our projections and we had to manage our expenses as a result. This year, using the same calculations, we have a projection that's lower than last year's budgeted amount, but still higher than our actual income from last year. And if the volume of lambs continues to decline like we saw it this year, we have identified some potential expenses that we can reduce to offset the lack of income. The stockyards income, that is a guaranteed amount that increases 2% per year, and it's annual profit sharing payment. We may also receive a profit sharing amount in June based on performance of their investments, but this is not budgeted. Research and education for $45,000. This revenue includes income from Master Shepherd's course, online courses like Intro to Small Ruminants and Parasite Management, and registration for the pregnancy ultrasound course that took place this September. Most of the educational revenue is offset by expenses, as most courses and programs operate on a cost recovery basis. The sheep news income is consistent year over year from advertising sales. The AGM income is quite lower this year, and that's because we don't have the trade show this year and significant paid sponsorship after we have already engaged companies at field day. So we're not going back to the honeypot time after time for income and promotion from our sponsors. The Made in Visna program, that's just money in, money out from producers. And the other income is interest on the OSF's investments. On the expense side of things, again, expenses in 25 are just for the AGM today's. And these expenses include the hotel, food, and AV costs of having this in-person AGM and banquet. The auditors, OSF reached out to multiple auditors in 2024 for quotes, and the industry has increased rates significantly since the last time the organization requested quotes in 21. After receiving multiple quotes, OSF is confident that the audit budget fee for 25-26 is reflective of current industry rates. Board and committee expenses, slightly lower, and we adjusted this to reflect the actual cost of 24-25. Industry and education program expenses mainly include the Master Shepherd's course and ultrasound course. Down to the legal fees, significantly lower again this year. That's just now that the tribunal is complete and we don't expect any additional professional fees budgeted for the upcoming year. Occupancy expenses remain the same this year. However, office expenses are higher in 25-26, reflecting year-over-year increases in office supply costs, printing costs, bank service charges, and computer maintenance and supplies. We touched on the Ontario Sheep News, how there was five issues in 23-24. This budget reflects the normal four magazines for this year. In the promotion budget, we have there is cuts to this budget to address the lower revenue. And same with the research budget. Due to projected lower revenues, we have also reduced this budget as well. The salaries, benefits, and contract services is slightly higher. That's due to a 2% annual increase to the employees, and the true contract employee time required to complete projects, attend meetings, and represent OSF at trade shows and industry events. Does anyone have any questions on the proposed 25-26 budget? If not, I would call for a motion to approve the budget as presented.
Colleen has a.
Oh, sorry, I can't see. Oh, sorry, Colleen.
Try again now.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
Colleen Acres, District 10. I did have a question related to license fees, and it is obviously the largest revenue side of the equation. I think it's also worth reminding that in 2023 we saw the license fee increase. So the 2024 fiscal year was actually the first full calendar year of that fee increase having taken place, and yet there was significant decreases. You're suggesting that it's due to fewer lambs, and that's the reason for the license income revenue being less than it was. And I guess, I looked at some numbers and tried to figure out whether that's kind of realistic or not. The numbers that I crunched showed that was a 24% decrease in the provincial slaughter license revenue, and yet provincial slaughter numbers were only down by 6.9%. So what's the gap? Is there more slippage happening? You would think with the increase in the license fee that took place that should have more than compensated for that. And I'm just wondering whether our collection system isn't working the way that the board was intending that it should. Did the results coming out of the tribunal last fall play into this? Really, what's going on? It's reassuring to hear that your projections are looking more positive for the year coming forward. But I'm just wondering how closely the board is actually examining the system that we have in terms of collecting off the revenue on the license fee.
Yep. So provincial slaughter is down, and our license fee collection appears to be working the way we intended. We can only speculate that because of higher lamb prices this spring, that lambs may not be trading actively more than once. So, there's lots of feeder lamb trade happening where they might go through the system, feedlot picks them up, and then they sell them again. So that's collection on lambs more than once. So we can speculate that maybe there's less of that happening, less lambs going in the feedlots, et cetera, et cetera. But we can only think that that's happened. There is also that plant out west where there is less Western lambs coming in as well. So we can speculate that the West is keeping more lambs instead of those lambs coming here, where we would see check off from them through the auctions and direct to slaughter.
So that's some speculation that's happening, and I guess that leads to the initial part of my question, which is really about, has the board examined other ways of collecting a license fee that perhaps would result in less swing from year to year? I mean, we're talking $100,000 last year, and in a $800,000 revenue budget, that's a significant swing. Very challenging for your board, for your staff to try and make that up within a fiscal year. So what discussions has the board had with respect to the method of license fee collection?
Well, we get we get the reports from the auctions, and even from the provincial slaughter plants. So everything seems to be jiving for the number of lambs that are actually going through that we're collecting license fees off of.
So when are we going to have the conversation about a per tag fee as opposed to collecting license through an administratively burdensome collection system that requires people to honestly say whether they paid the check off at the sale barn or whether they paid it on their direct to purchase lambs that are going through slaughter?
Yeah, and a tag license fee collected that way can certainly be entertained through a resolution at some point. Now, there's more to that than what I even understand of how things would change. So that's definitely a discussion that could be had another time for sure. Are there any more questions for the 25-26 budget?
I think you had mentioned this on the audit and accounting budget. It's quite a significant jump. I think you had said that you had put this out for tender or something like that. Can you explain why? What is the scope of work? Why did it almost triple?
Yeah, yeah. So from my understanding from before I was on the board, when tenders were received from years ago, they weren't actually, it was a 3-year contract, 3-year contract before these new budgets. So when they had got the contract, or when RLB had the contract before, they had done it for 3 years. After they noticed the work involved, they were losing money. So because that 3-year contract was up, we had a tender for more accountants, and all 3 did come back the same price.
Do you feel that maybe our scope of work on the accounting is maybe excessive for a business that does $1 million? Is this typical for, are we asking maybe too much?
I don't think we have a choice. We're an organization that needs to have audited financial books, and unfortunately, I'm not an expert opinion to know if that's too much or not enough. But when 3 tenders come back the same, we can be confident that the quoted amount is correct.
Yeah, I'm just asking if the scope is. Sorry, yeah, I know I got to talk right into the mic. I was just curious if the scope is just too large. For a business doing you're not a business, but for an organization doing $1 million in rev, 15K is pretty high. And I say this with an accounting background and a business background of businesses of this size. Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah, as a person that likes to save money, I think it's a bit high too, but this is what we have to work with, and we can certainly go out and entertain quotes, not for next year, but for following years as well. If there's no more questions, could I call for a motion to approve the budget as presented?
Mike Seversky, District 5.
Thank you, Mike. Do we have a seconder?
Steve Franklin, District 2.
Thank you, Steve. We have the clickers now. I'll call the vote to approve the 2025 budget statement as presented. The motion is carried. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I'll call on our Governance Committee Chair, Wesley Godden, to share the outcome of the 2024 resolutions.
Hi, everyone. My name's Wesley Gordon, and I'm the Director for District 9. I'm also the Chair for the Governance Committee. Today, I'll be reporting back on the outcomes of the resolutions that were passed last year. I'll start with District 4, Resolution 1. Be it resolved that OSF establish a training program to equip producers with the skills necessary to perform pregnancy ultrasounds effectively on their own farm. This resulted in OSF working in partnership with Canadian Sheep Federation to offer an ultrasound training course in September of this year, taught by expert trainers Duncan and David Kennedy from Scotland. There were 9 beginners, 5 advanced participants that were trained through the course. Due to the cost of running this course, OSF may not run it every year. District 4 had a second resolution. Be it resolved that we as farmers request again some government subsidy to help aid the autopsy examination, the cost of autopsy examinations, The membership voted in 75% in favor. However, there is currently no government grants programs available to aid with this cost of examinations at this moment. District 8, Resolution 1. Be it resolved that Ontario sheep farmers negotiate with municipalities to have working livestock guardian dogs exempt from dog licensing on farms with a business farm registration number, thus reducing the yearly cost of keeping livestock guardian dogs and therefore increasing the number of livestock guardian dogs on farms and therefore reducing Ontario Wildlife Damage Compensation Program applications. The membership voted with 98% in favor. But please note that Ontario Sheep Farmers supports producers in municipalities with individual cases with dog bylaws throughout the year. The Predation Committee met in the summer and asked Ontario Sheep Farmers to write a letter to the municipalities with the highest predation kills to make the connection between high predation rates and the need for improved dog bylaws for livestock guardian dogs. One of the recommendations in the letter was to exempt livestock guardian dogs from dog licenses. This letter was sent to municipalities in October this year. District 8 had a second resolution. Be it resolved that the sheep industry in Ontario needs to educate 98.6% of non-farming population about our industry and identify local available lamb. Therefore, Ontario sheep producers need a gate sign to identify them as a member of Ontario Sheep Farmers. This sign should, at minimum, have some type of picture of a sheep and or a lamb, plus display the Ontario Sheep Farmers logo. This sign should be made available to all registered sheep farmers in Ontario at their request, at cost, or free if funding is available. Good news, signs are available for sale in the Ontario Sheep Farmers Office and also outside there, and are priced for cost recovery. So if you haven't gotten your signs yet, please contact the office, or you can purchase yours outside. Lastly, we have a resolution from District 11. Be it resolved that Ontario sheep farmers support smaller, more localized, in-person events by providing marketing for events and support, connecting demonstrators and experts with host farms and with attendees. The membership voted, and there was an 89% in favor. And I'm happy to report that the districts are empowered to offer in-person events and meetings, and there is an annual district allocation of funds to support these meetings, up to $1,500 per district. These districts are also encouraged to engage the Ontario Sheep Farmers Member Relations Coordinator for meeting support. Heather is always here to help, so please use her expertise. Ontario Sheep Farmers has also a heat map identifying member locations to help districts pinpoint the best locations for meetings and events. Thank you, and we have come to the end of the resolutions for 2024. I'll pass it back to Art.
Thank you very much, Wesley, for that update and of the resolutions that came forward last year. At this time, we'll deal with the resolutions. You've had a copy of the resolutions put forward in your package, and we'll be going through them next. And at this time, we will, excuse me, Christophe Wand has agreed to act as our moderator for the resolutions part of this meeting. He is raised on a farm near Powassan and has a Master's of Science specializing in animal nutrition from the University of Guelph. He joined the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Agribusiness in 1998 as the beef and cattle sheep nutritionist. He began his most recent work assignment as livestock sustainability specialist in 2014 and is based out of the Elora Omafa office. Please welcome Christophe.
Thank you, Art. It's a pleasure to be here. Just by way of bridging to last year, Dr. Deb Stark, I believe, was your motions chair last year, and she was unable to be here this afternoon, but I saw her this morning, and she wanted me to bring her greetings to the membership, the board, and to the staff, and, well, wished me luck on this process. So in short, we have two motions that will be in the blue pages within your delegate package. Those will be the ones debated here today. And in terms of procedure, and I'm just going to offer it, I know this is old hat to many of you. Each of the motions will be brought up on the screen, at which time I will read them. The movers and the seconders will be asked to speak or to move and second them. And then they will have the opportunity to speak to them, as will each of you. You will have 1 minute to speak to the resolutions in favor or against. The guidance document you have says that Ontario Sheep typically uses 30 seconds, but because there's only 2 motions, the governance committee and board have allowed for a minute, so I'll try to be fair with everyone on that. If the motions are not moved or seconded, they will be lost. They will not even come to the floor for debate. After they are moved and seconded, each of you can come to the microphone, as I mentioned, for your 1 minute, identify yourself and your district, please, and then enter your comments. And then when the mover returns back to the microphone to make their final comment, the debate will be closed thereupon. Or if nothing is happening, then we'll call the question as is. I believe I've covered everything. No, I have not. You can also amend the motion. I've been assured that if you do not like the wording of the motion as it comes to the floor, provided it is on the same topicality and such, we can amend the wording, but that would be by its own motion, so in which case a new motion would be opened, amend the wording, resolve the wording, and then vote on the main motion once that's all settled. Clear as mud? Okay, we have some motions, please. Okay. And again, these are in the blue pages within your package that I think most of you have found. District 5, Resolution 1. Whereas resolutions are meant to bring new ideas or suggestions to the board, whereas resolutions are meant to drive the direction and decisions of the board, whereas members need an avenue to bring their concerns to the board, be it resolved that the Board and Governance Committee be required to consider and review all resolutions brought forward from the districts. Do I have a mover?
Mike Swiderski, District 5.
Thank you, Mike. Do we have a seconder?
Bill McCutcheon, District 5.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, and so I'll give Mike you the opportunity to open discussion on this, but I'm just going to point out that the Governance Committee has also in your package, so on the back leaf of the motions, has given you a proposed solution to the motion being brought forward. So understand that as you're debating this, it may be colored by what the Governance Committee has already proposed as an outcome to this motion coming. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. It was brought to my attention last year as our district put forward a resolution that was very similar to the previous year. And the Ontario Sheep has a governance committee which reviews the resolutions that are brought to them from the districts. And in their rules and regs, you cannot bring a resolution that was similar to the previous year. The intention of the resolution brought forward was sort of an attaboy resolution to encourage and support what the board was doing, which I think is very valuable. Other reasons for bringing forward similar resolutions are, for example, when the board or a committee meets with a politician or something like that, they can say, hey, for the last 5 years we've had this resolution brought forward. Look at the support we have from our members. The way that it currently is, it's a gatekeeping procedure. There's probably a reason for it. Probably somebody in this room through the years has been belligerent here at the mic and brought forward resolutions that have been damaging to the board. So those are the reasons that I'm bringing this forward. We are a grassroots organization, and I think it's important that grassroots issues are brought to the board.
Anyone else speaking to the resolution? Last call for anyone heading to the mic. And just before we do vote, just on a point of order, I will tell you that the online participants will be voting via the clickers that Mr. Bruce Sargent has over at the desk. They've consented to that. So if you see that Bruce has hoarded clickers, he is actually punching in on different clickers the votes from the people online, okay? So it's all above board. We've accounted for that. So know that that's the procedure going forward. So seeing no one else coming to the microphone, I'll call the question. Be it resolved that the Board and Governance Committee be required to consider and review all resolutions brought forward to the districts. Please vote. Bruce, I believe the numbers have stabilized. Okay, we'll consider that motion carried. Thank you. District 5, Resolution 2, also on that same page. Whereas Ontario Sheep Farmers is regulated by Farm Products 429, 430, and OSF General Regulations, production of sheep, rams, ewes, lambs, wethers, meat, and wool, milk not included. Be it resolved that OSF Board review its policies, regulations, and investigate if milk from sheep should be a product that is regulated and supported by Ontario Sheep Farmers. Do we have a mover?
Mike Swiderski, District 5.
Do we have a seconder?
Bill McCutcheon, District 5.
Okay, thank you, Mike and Bill. Here also is a point of clarification for you before the debate begins, and this is from the Governance Committee as well, that all Ontario sheep farmers regulations only apply to sheep and wool at present.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Ontario sheep dairy producers are a vibrant and growing industry within the sheep industry. I'm kind of a fan of governance, and I think it's very important to respect governance and to follow governance within an organization. Ontario Sheep, the board, the staff, has been doing a bit of work for the sheep dairy producers, bit of staff time through the Milk Regulations Act, doing some work for them then. And I just think it's important for them to stay within the lines and the criteria of the mandate. And I think I'm not standing here to say I'm for or against dairy producers. I'm just for good governance. And I think at this point it would be a good time for the board to look at, do we think of adding milk to that, or do we follow good governance and not be involved in that? And I look forward to some discussions on that.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak to the motion?
Hi, how are you? It's Mark Martin from District 5 and a dairy sheep farmer. And I just thought I'd share my concern or my thoughts on this. First of all, I start off with I'm not necessarily fundamentally opposed against the idea of sheep milk being supported by OSF. It's just a few things to consider, I guess. We feel very unequal representation here. There's currently about 50 dairy sheep farmers and producers, and probably about 300 of the meat sheep guys. And then just to consider, like, how would that ensure equal representations when it comes to, I think, voting on different things. So we could easily be outvoted with what the stakeholder in the industry. Or another one to consider, who and how would decisions regarding a license fee be made fairly when I am such a small minority among the vast majority who are not stakeholders in the dairy sheep industry? Who are going to be the knowledgeable representative for me? A stakeholder in the dairy industry as Ontario Sheep bond meetings and committees. Another comment that I'd like to get, currently I estimate there is about 25% of dairy sheep farmers that are already currently active in board of directors and committees, and I'm not sure if we have more time for more discussions in that. And going forward, if I even see a greater demand for more dairy sheep producers for being involved in those boards.
Okay, I'm going to draw you to a close on your comments,
Okay.
please.
Thank you.
Okay, any more speaking to the motion, please?
I'm Jeff Cressman, District 3. I am also a dairy sheep producer. And yeah, I as well do not fundamentally oppose the idea of sheep milk being supported by OSF. One question I have is how many resources, OSF resources, are currently being dedicated towards the dairy sheep industry? And it is my estimate that dairy producers that I'm aware of probably contribute approximately $30,000 a year and more over time in license fees to Ontario Sheep. The outcome of the lamb side of my business is directly related to the milk side of my business. The more lamb in order for me to produce milk, I need to produce lamb. What value would I get out of this as a dairy sheep producer? Potential license fees should likely be directed towards dairy-specific activities, which would involve more involved dairy work from OSF. Who's going to represent me on that? Will these funds be directed to dairy-specific research funds? Well, who's going to make the decisions around that? Because I do produce lamb, I already benefit from vast resources around lambing, lamb production, health, disease, et cetera, and even common diseases in the dairy industry. Being mastitis is also a common issue on the meat side of things as well. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I see the mover heading towards the microphone, but another also. Yep, anyone else that wishes to speak to the mic, please?
Hi, I'm Andrew Pearson from District 1, also a dairy producer. Just want to echo some similar comments from other dairy producers that although I'm not entirely opposed to the idea of regulation from OSF, I want to remind people as well that we already do pay into it with wool, with our lambs. As Jeff said, that our ewes, we don't get any milk unless we have lambs out of our ewes. When it comes to the financial aspects of things, we do have our own events that do self-sustain themselves. We have our dairy symposium. Yes, it's run by OSF, but we recover all costs based on ticket sales to get into it. And we also do have a grant, as you see in your line items of the budget. That was a grant from the North American Dairy Sheep Association that'll help fund any specific research that we do. But on top of that, all the research that would have to do with dairy sheep is going to benefit meat sheep as well. So therefore, where do you draw the line as to what's getting paid for what? Like mastitis, that's something that everybody deals with. Lamb rearing and lamb care, that's something that everyone deals with. So in a new industry that is growing and is starting to take off and gain some traction, I do not believe now is the best time to be starting to introduce more red tape and to put a damper on things. That's my own opinion, though. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak to the motion? Otherwise, the mover is about to take the microphone, which will close debate.
Yeah, I'd like to thank the fellow producers for speaking. I think this is a topic that people have been silent on for a while. The regulations clearly state that Ontario Sheep is only to deal with sheep, lamb, and wool, and has been speaking and doing other dealings with milk. And I just think it's important that good governance be recognized, and nobody should get anything for free. And I just think having good governance is important, and that was strictly what this resolution was intended for, and that's it.
Okay, thank you. So, if we could have the question back up, please. Be it resolved that the Ontario Sheep Farmers Board review its policies, regulations, and investigate if milk from sheep should be a product that is regulated and supported by Ontario sheep farmers. Please lock in your votes at this time. Looks like our numbers have stabilized, Bruce. Is that true? Okay, the motion is lost. Thank you. Turning it back to your chair.
Well, thank you very much, Christoph. Well done, and we appreciate your help and support on going through our resolutions. Okay, we're coming to the end of the meeting, and we're actually ahead of time. And as most of the board knows, I love to close our meetings on time, but we're actually going to be a little early, so I guess which is good. So I would like to thank everyone for attending, whether in person or in the virtual world, and for your participation in this AGM. For those joining us this evening for the community portion of our AGM, we'll see you back here in this room at 6:30 for our Ontario Lamb reception and banquet. And we do have a few surprises for you there as well, so certainly we'll look forward to a very interesting and fun night. Also a reminder for the board members we'll be meeting upstairs in the Yorkshire room for a meeting directly following the AGM. And at this time, now, I don't need everybody running up to the microphone, but I'm going to call for a motion to adjourn. We only need one. Come on. I guess everybody wants to stay here for a while. Where's Mike?
Motion to adjourn.
All right. I now declare our AGM adjourned. Enjoy your evening, folks.